Good evening, Don Palayo here. I just wanted to put out a short video. I'm trying to get more regular with this, but I've just got 20 million other things going on. It's a little bit difficult to be regular. I need to get more regular with putting out content. I know that's going to be key to this channel growing. Um, I didn't do a whole lot this weekend. We had Friday afternoon. It started to snow here, and we got a good bit of snow for North Carolina standards. Probably had about 2 to 3 inches here. For some of you, that's going to sound like nothing. I know that some of you people up north or in other parts of the country, that's probably not much, but to talk about. But here, it kept me indoors all weekend. I didn't go anywhere. I did work around my house though. I got a lot done. I did a lot of organizing closets and um, did a good bit of work this week and got all my laundry done, just all that good stuff. So um, I uh, I really just wanted to kind of touch base because I haven't been putting much out. I've been very thoughtful lately about you know, I'm 48. I know there's a lot of younger people here on YouTube. I'm 48. I have two daughters. I've been thinking a lot more about the situation that they're going to be facing. I've been thinking about the younger generation, how my daughter's generation is going to be. What they can expect to face. There's all these growing threats around the world. China's becoming a little more aggressive on the world stage. We've got wars in Eastern Europe. We've got wars in the Arab world, is the Middle East. Of course, it seems like there's always a war going on in the Middle East. Like, what else is new, right? But there's a lot going on. At the same time, America's population, the younger people have, people aren't having as many children. And so all of the population growth here in the United States is mainly from immigration. Americans aren't having very many kids anymore. And it makes you worry if something did kick off, like a war or something like that, are we going to have the manpower to handle it? Now, I think with our military, um, we do have the best military technology in the world, and that could help. But we've got to make sure that we have the people to operate it. We need, I thought, shoot, we could eventually maybe put out robot soldiers, robot troops. Who knows? I mean, that would, if we could get a good, dependable system like that and save soldier lives, that would be a great thing, I would think. Of course, then you worry about a Terminator situation, but that's, who knows, right? With all this AI stuff. Um, I Last video I put out, I think, was a really good piece. I hope if you haven't watched it, I'd go back and watch my last video. Talked a lot about raising our standards in terms of our competency, our education, our we can't depend on the public schools to educate our kids. We're going to have to take a more proactive stance. We're going to have to be more proactive with our kids, especially young children. I think it's very, very important to get started with kids at a young age, get them into the habit of reading. I know I started reading when I was real little, and I think that always helped me along the way. In some ways, especially early on, I was pretty far ahead of some of my peers in school for that reason. My mom had really pushed that on my brother and I. I I would like to, I've been trying to stay away from politics. It's like, but that seems like a big subject matter these days. Of course, we have these horrible fires going on out in California. We've had problems here in North Carolina. You're probably familiar with the problems they had in Western North Carolina with the hurricane they had a few months ago. And it's kind of a freak here in North Carolina. It was just a freak thing because when you're in the mountains of North Carolina, you don't expect to get hit with hurricanes. It's like that's not a in the mountains you're at least 4 hours, no more like 7 hours from the beach, so you don't really worry so much about hurricanes. But it was just all that moisture that came up from the Gulf, they haven't seen anything like that in nearly a century. It was about a century ago that they've had anything like that. So the situation here in North Carolina was pretty rare. California, I mean, they have these fires every year. To me, if I was in leadership in California, and there has to be a way for them to maybe not eliminate, but reduce the risk that exists, out there. And I'm not going to even talk about the water management and everything, but in terms of managing the forests and all of that, I don't think they've done a very good. I mean, I just don't think they've done a very good job with all of that. You don't hear about many other places having these issues. It's mostly a California thing. Um, I think in terms of, they talk about, oh, Trump said, go rake the forest. It's more about thinning it out. It's getting rid of some of the dead timber so that it doesn't burn. That dead timber gets dry, then it just burns like kindling. Removing some of that, maybe make some fire lines to where things aren't hopping from tree to tree. Now they had winds this go around where the winds were whipping around at 90 to 100 miles an hour. Even with fire lines, that may not have helped in this situation, but it at least reduces risk. I still feel like that would be there's a lot of things they could be doing in California to help reduce this problem, and I just don't think there's political reasons out there in California they just seem to refuse to do it. So unfortunately, the citizens of California have to pay for the decisions that are made. But um, it's like when you know that these fires are going to happen. I mean, they happen almost every single year. You got to start taking proactive measures to deal with it. I don't think their leaders have done a very good job of that, and maybe they intentionally don't, looking to get federal money. I don't know what the rationale for it is, but we don't all think the way that these people think. So. Um, I'm going to be going back into work tomorrow. This will be a short work week for me. Um, the week after next, the 20th, is not only Trump's inauguration, but it's also MLK Day. So my office will be closed the following Monday. So I went ahead and took Friday off too. So I'd have a 4-day weekend. So I will have a 4-day weekend coming up. Thank goodness. I feel like I need a little break. Although I've been home this whole weekend, I had a kind of a long weekend this weekend because we left work about 1:30 because of the snow on Friday. So, um, we'll see. I think I am going to try to take. I usually don't take very many days off, and I know every year I always leave. I never take all of my vacation time. I get 18 days of vacation time a year. It's a day and a half every month. So so I don't take all my vacation time, but I've started looking at my calendar, and in December I always take some time off to go down to Florida to see my daughter Piper, and then I try to go down there a couple of other times a year too. So I do take off time for that, but I think this year I took off more time than I usually do, but it was mostly because I had that gastric bypass surgery. I had gastric bypass October 11th, and I was out for a week with that. And but I usually don't use all my vacation times. I think I took 15 of my 18 days last year. Anyway, I need to try to find some. That's something I need to try to find some things to do around here, especially, I mean, spring and summer, it's a little bit easier. Even fall, it's pretty easy to find things to do, but there is nothing to do in North Carolina in the wintertime. I don't go skiing. I've been skiing once, but not my thing really. I don't really like the cold in general. And that one time I went skiing, it was like I was cold and clammy and just I didn't get much out of it. So, um, but I there's got to be some things to do, you know. It's like I thought about, well, I could go. I thought about indoor activities. It's like I can go to the movies, I can go bowling or playing pool or something. Well, I'll figure it out. I am going to try to get back in the gym this week a little bit more. I've been back once since my surgery, and I had surgery in October, and they wanted me to wait a while before I started really working out. But now it's been several, about 3 months now, and so I feel like I can get in there and be pretty comfortable. I'm not going to lift any real heavy weights yet. I lifted weights this most recent time I just went, but I'm starting light, and I'm gonna just kind of gradually build up. I don't want to get too heavy. You start getting close to 50 years old, it's like it's not so much about lifting heavy. You don't want to put a lot of strain on your joints. You start having joint pain and things like that, and it's like heavy weights aren't real good about that. So just take it easy on those joints. You have to have them for a lifetime. so um, so I'm gonna keep my weight more light, moderate, and just do more reps. Um, I did lose a good. I've lost almost 75 pounds since I had bariatric surgery. Um, about a third of that, it was about 30%. I have a scale that tells me how much lean body mass I have and all of that, and about 30% of the weight that I lost was muscle. About 70% was fat, about 30% was muscle. So almost a third. I lost like 22 pounds of muscle going through this bariatric surgery process, but I've lost 75 pounds total, so it was a net positive, but I do want to kind of rebuild my strength up a little bit. I could tell lifting the weights the other day that I'd gotten significantly weaker. It was like I used to do pretty heavy curls, bicep curls and all, and it was like, wow, my biceps aren't as strong as they once were, but we're getting there. We're gonna get there. I'm still struggling to eat at times. It's like here late, the with bariatric surgery, it's like it's kind of hit or miss sometimes with being able to get food to go through. The other night, I ate. I had a little bit of my doctor recommended, because I'm trying to increase my protein, and so she recommended that I use pasta, which is a red lentil pasta, which has a little bit more protein to it. It's high in fiber as well. And so I made a little bit of that pasta the other night, and I don't know if y'all have ever had it, but the texture is a little bit different. It didn't go down well, and when I say things don't go down well, that typically means that it comes back up. So it would not go down. So and that's partially, I think, that I probably just didn't chew it up good enough. That's the thing with bariatric surgery. You have to chew every bite very thoroughly. 20 to 30 bites, per, 20, 30 times, chews per bite, and if you don't do that at times, it'll get in there, and you can feel it in there. You can actually feel the food in the pouch that you have, and it doesn't feel good, and your mouth starts to produce a lot of extra saliva, and you're like, oh, I'm going to throw up, aren't I? And sure enough, so just it's not fun. That might be more detail than y'all wanted to hear about, but bariatric surgery, it has been very good for me. I would never have lost this weight if I hadn't had the surgery, but it does kind of put a damper on your eating if you like food, and I liked food before the surgery. it's difficult to eat the stuff that you liked before, and it's kind of a bummer. but I'm happy about the weight loss, and it's been good for me health wise. So um, anyway, I don't want to talk y'all's ears off. I just want to say, I'm hoping that we'll have a better year this year. Things are things are pretty rough. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are financially on edge right now, and I think when people are financially on edge, it can cause people to act out, and I think we've been seeing some of these things we've been seeing in terms of violence here lately. I think is financial stress that people are under, which I get. I understand how it feels to be financially strained. Um, I've been there. I've been there. I'm in a lot better position today than I was, about 8 to 10 years ago. 8 to 10 years ago, I was going through a real hard time financially after my second divorce. It was like you go through two divorces, and it really, it's devastating. That's partially why I've just decided, you know what, I'm meant to be single. I was meant to be single. I've, it's like, yeah, I don't know how much, today it seems like dating is really starting to die off. I don't know how much y'all, if y'all pay much attention to what's going on out there, but a lot of guys are just abandoning it altogether. I think finances has something to do with that, but some of these women seem very entitled these days. They expect for you to pay for everything, pay for this, pay for that, do this, do that. I still get some of that from my ex-wife. It's like every year she calls me and wants me to pay for Disney passes for I mean, she wants it for for me to pay for my daughter's annual pass, which I've done because I know how much my daughter loves it. But it's like, I mean, they are Florida residents, so I usually just send her the money and she buys the ticket because they get a discount for being Florida residents. But it's like $1,000, it's like $1,000 with the discount, and it's like just coming out of pocket, it's sending an extra $1,000 that you weren't. Well, I plan on it now, but I try to plan on it now, but it's not. I have some pretty steep financial goals this year and every year going forward till retirement. So I'm gonna have to be more picky and choosy about the things that I do with my money. And this year, that Disney pass may or may not happen. Um, I know how much my daughter loves going to Disney, though, and you know, we'll make sure she gets there. At least has one trip this year. When she lives 2 hours from Disney World, so they go multiple times a year, and that's so in that situation, it can make more sense, to pay the $1,000 for her pass because if you're going 8, 10, 12 times a year, it can make more sense. But um, I don't know. Anyway, this year I have pretty big goals. I am going to be giving my oldest daughter Ashley's turning 21 in September, and I wanted to give her a good chunk. I had what they call a UTMA account. It's a kind of a custodial trust account for children. Basically, it's a gift when you put money into a UTMA account. It's no longer your money. The person that gives the money, it's basically you're giving a gift when you give that money and you put it in that account. You can manage it. The custodian can manage it, but they're not allowed to take the money back out because it's now the child's money. But the child doesn't get the money until they're older. In North Carolina, it was 21. That's when the money legally becomes the property of the child. So anyway, I've been putting money in there and saved a good little stack for her, and I'm going to be giving that to her for her 21st birthday. And she already knows about it. I've already talked to her a little bit about it. I've been telling her, I'm trying to instill some knowledge, some of my financial knowledge in her. When you're almost 50 years old, you've got more finance, and I work in finance, so I've been trying to pass some of that along to her, some of that wisdom, whether they listen to you or not. That's the hard part. My parents tried to tell me things too when I was younger, and I didn't listen very much. It's funny. Yeah, but anyway, so I didn't listen very well either. So I'm trying to really instill the importance of saving into Ashley right now. She's 20. She'll be 21 in September. I want to make sure she understands how important it is to start saving early. I really want her to hold on to I know she has some things that she wants to do in terms of buying a car, different things like that, and she might use this for that. I understand, but I hope she keeps at least half of it for emergency, like an emergency fund. That's really kind of my idea of what this money would be for. I mean, I expect her to use some of it, but I'm hoping that she'll use the majority of it for savings. But anyway, I um I hope that you guys are all doing well, setting some goals, working towards your financial goals. Of course, I always have my retirement savings goals. I have fitness goals. I'm going to be getting back into the gym more often, especially once all this snow. And January is my least favorite month out of the entire year. It's just cold, dark, and dreary. And I'm not a big fan of winter anyway. Once Christmas is over, I'm ready for spring, basically. So, um, anyway, I thank you guys uh for watching my channel. I will be putting out more regular content. And again, feel free to shoot me a couple bucks on Cash App. I've got my Cash App link there in the description. Just keep just I'm not going to ask for a lot of money. Just a couple dollar here, dollar there, just helps. It just keeps me motivated to continue to produce content. So I do appreciate it. You guys take care. I'll see you on the next one.